Now I've actually crushed this, which is actually the rights invitation that my parents got because they hold Sam Marine shares. So right now there's this new rights, and my first thought is why pour money into a sinking ship? But I've kind of changed my mind a little bit. So today I'll be sharing with you because there are many questions on this channel asking about Sam Marine. It's a very complex situation. I've actually done before a previous video on keppel, whereby in future keppel's O&M would merge with SAM. But details are not yet out if I'm not wrong. So I'll be sharing with you some findings, especially from UOB Kayhian report. Some interesting insights that maybe if you are a current Sam Marine shareholder, you can take note of it. So if this topic of Sam Marine interests you, continue watching on. Now to start things with, this is actually not the first time Sam Marine is calling for money really. Let's get that very clear. So Sam Marine has actually raised $2.1 billion in 2020. And at that point of time, it was raised at 20 cents a share, correct? And if you have poured in money at 20 cents now they are raising again at 8 cents, and you probably be in a worse position than before. And flashback to what happened then. The rights were not fully subscribed simply because the open market price was around 20 cents. There was little incentive to actually purchase the rights, as you can see over here in this article. Currently, Sam Marine is trading about 8.5 cents, and the rights is at 8 cents, which again, the discount is not that big. But this rights, let's draw some information from it. It's going to close very soon. I'll highlight to you, which is over here. By 14th, you make payment. So I've actually made payments for my parents using PayNow. So nowadays, you can actually don't need to go down to ATM. You can use PayNow, input the right code, and do make sure that you are able to fulfill that before the cut-off date. 22nd, they're going to allocate the shares. So I share with you what I've done first. I've actually taken on the rights and rounded it off to a nice number, so in the future it's easier to sell away. So this 1.5 billion rights, let's look at some numbers again. On 23rd August, there was this EGM in which 98.1% voted in favour of raising it. And TEMASEK has pledged to actually mop up any loose rights that nobody wants. And they are pledging close to $1 billion. So again, they are funding it. They are staying the course with Sam Marine. The only sunshine is with Sam Marine recovers, correct? If offshore drilling starts to have some activity again. If not, all this is just good money thrown after bad money. Let's look at what UOB Kayhian has to mention. If you see over here, UOB Kayhian mentions that now Sam Marine's biggest debtor seems to have more revenue already. That is good. So let's rely on it. You realize that the biggest debtor is bore drilling. And if they can get revenue, they can pay Sam Marine. And if they pay Sam Marine, which means that is profits. There is no need to raise more rights. Hopefully this is the last rights, but nobody knows for sure. UOB Kayhian also mentions that if you buy the rights, you should have patience. How long of a patience? If you look, they forecast profits only in 2023. But of course, share markets turn ahead of time. And if 2023 is profit, you should expect recovery possibly by 2022. So that's just an assumption. If you look over here, price to book has spiked up, correct? As of mid of 2020, and that's because book value has been destroyed, which means losses. That's why denominator shrinks, the price to book shoots up. It's not that the price went up. So that's just to explain how we can interpret price to book for Sam Marine. Right now, it does look like it's depressed. The only thing is if operations are able to turn around, and UOB Kayhian forecast that to be in 2023. So what are your thoughts about Sam Marine? Leave them in the comment section. I'll be keen to hear from you also. And just as a important point to note also, 8 cents doesn't mean it cannot go down even further. That's not actually true. At 8 cents, a share can consolidate, like 10 consolidated to 1, and it becomes 80 cents, and it can drop back down to 8 cents. So don't ever think that it cannot go down much further. This kind of situation can happen, especially for companies which are bleeding, are doing poorly operationally. Let's look at oil price. Is actually not that low right now. It's about $68. And of course, it's not back in the good days where it's $100 per barrel. But 68, definitely there's some activity, right, in terms of offshore and marine. At least that's my interpretation of things. So hopefully that gives you some food for thought whether Sam Marine rights is something you want to pursue further. And if you haven't seen this previous video I've done on keppel, inviting you there because that describes what is the future for the offshore and marine between two of our household names, Sam Marine and keppel. Keppel will be merging its offshore and marine with Sam. And Sam could be a market leader in future, we never know. So hopefully that sunshine comes sooner rather than later. And with that, maybe my parents can benefit also. And hopefully you can benefit too. With that, I'll sign off and see you in the previous video. Take care and goodbye.